This show is sponsored by Bitonic. Invest in Bitcoin with ease.
Connect the world.
Carel van Wyk, Moneybadger, South Africa.
Mountain biking is in the rugged terrain of Stellenbosch and must be quite the adrenaline rush. Have you ever found yourself flying over the handlebars and thought, yep, totally worth it?
Yes.
Umar rusks are that nostalgic South African staple, dry, crunchy and oddly comforting. Have you ever eaten one without dunking it in something first?
Yes.
The Matrix isn't just a movie, it's practically a philosophical gateway drug. After watching it, did you ever catch yourself seriously wondering if we might all be plugged into some kind of simulation?
For sure, yes.
The Tanqua Karoo is known for its wide open silence and stunning starry nights. Pure digital detox material. Have you ever spent time there completely off-grid, no notifications, no signal, just peace?
Yes.
Macallan 12 years old is a solid whiskey pick. Smooth, complex and definitely not just for show. But tell me, have you ever confidently described tasting notes like leather and warm spice without actually tasting them?
No.
Neil Stephenson doesn't exactly write light novels. They are smart, deep and sometimes slightly overwhelming. Have you ever reached a point mid-book where you thought, okay, I might be in over my head here?
Yeah.
Do you look up to minds like John Carvalho and Eric Voskuil, two sharp and sometimes provocative thinkers in the Bitcoin world? Have you ever found yourself in open disagreement with one of them, or even if just in your head?
Oh, yes, for sure.
Let's be honest, whiskey is great until it's not. Have you ever told yourself just one more Macallan and immediately regretted it the next morning?
No, I never regret.
As someone deeply into tech and also into trails, this one is tricky. If given the choice between debugging a major software problem or hitting a 40-kilometer mountain trail in bad weather, would you pick the trail?
No.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
Yes. Yes.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 135 of Connect the World, and this show is made possible by our friends from Bitonic and BRINGIN. Thank you guys for helping with our mission to connect the world with Bitcoin through the Lightning Network. And if you also want to help out with our mission, then follow us on X or on Nostrdam, subscribe at our YouTube channel, and if you have any questions at all, you can head over to one of our Telegram groups and you can ask us anything. And of course, a donation is always welcome.
Conectează lumea.
Carel van Wyk.
Hi, Carel.
He's back. And the man is back.
Long time.
Good to be back.
Awesome.
It took us 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. You were quite busy.
No. Then it sounds like we.
Yeah, a lot has happened. That's right.
Then it sounds like we invited Carel and he didn't want to come. So this is not the case. But 2 years ago we made an episode about crypto convert, and I think it was around that time that you also started the cooperation with Pick and Pay. It was around the same time, if I'm correct. And Pick and Pay is one of the biggest markets in South Africa, which you with crypto convert at that time made possible to accept Bitcoin payments.
That's right.
And now you're transformed the company into Moneybadger. So a lot happened in 2 years, I guess.
Yeah, we spoke last time just as we launched the national rollout. So we've got a lot of stores nationally that people can buy anything with at Pick and Pay with Bitcoin. And as you say, a lot has happened. So let's get into that.
Yeah, of course. And I think speaking for this part of the continent, it's just amazing that there is a supermarket. There are very much merchants that are accepting Bitcoin. And that's, of course, for a lot of Bitcoiners here, just a great thing to think about. I mean, it opens the way to just live on a Bitcoin standard, because then you need groceries. So that's the main thing. I mean, yeah, and of course being paid in sats for your work. That will be the second. I guess.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to talk about it in a minute, but I first want to ask you, Carel, because you said you look up to persons like John Carvalho and Eric Voskuil, and we asked you, have you ever found yourself in an open disagreement? And you smiled and you said, "Oh yes." Can you still remember what it was about? What you guys were discussing?
Well, I think around payments specifically, I know John has very strong views and opinions on Lightning versus on-chain and things like that. Yeah. Whereas I don't believe on-chain payments can really work, not in a retail environment at least. And so I would love to one day be able to debate that with him face to face.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. I can imagine his posts are always interesting to read. Definitely.
Oh yeah, and he's one of my favorite people to follow on social media for sure.
Yeah, and I love it that he does it on purpose and then starts the discussion, and all the people are just yeah. You love to mountain bike, of course, but you said I'm gonna say it here. Have you ever found yourself flying over the handlebars and thought, yep, totally worth it? And you said yes. So I thought, well, how must that look like? I mean,
I think
you like the adrenaline rush, right?
Yeah, I think at some point you learn how to fall. And definitely that adrenaline keeps me sane. I think I've got some lack of dopamine normally. So that's what I need to just stay a normal person.
Yeah.
That is great. So you really need this to feel alive every now and then, right? To feel the adrenaline rush, and but it's like a very big contrast with your work at Moneybadger, because this is all on screen, writing code and that kind of stuff. So the contrast is I mean, can there be a bigger contrast? I would say. I think not.
I don't know if I would agree. The kind of work that we do, sometimes it can get pretty scary as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's more of an adrenaline rush, writing and pushing out the code and seeing what's happening. Like, for example, when the Reserve Bank gives you a phone call, that's quite a hit of adrenaline.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, but this happened to you.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Then it works that you just keep your cool and keep your, I mean, yeah. And of course the adrenaline keeps you sane also, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So you trained yourself how to cope with big adrenaline rushes then by going out for a mountain bike hike. That's nice.
But the mountain bike, I mean, that's more. If you're somebody that spend a lot of time in their head and thinking a lot, and probably being spend less time in the real world than your thoughts. If you're mountain biking at 40 kilometers an hour down a mountain and you spend too much time thinking, then you die. So it's a way to force yourself out of your mind and just into the present.
Yeah. Yeah, and because it's not just taking a bicycle for some nice road, but it's you need to stay focused, of course. Because exactly. When I think of myself, I think, well, when I'm on the move, those are the times that I can be creative or solve a puzzle in my head, but you want to get out of your head. So that's totally different. Yeah. Can imagine that it works. So yeah, great.
And if you want to go into your head and don't need adrenaline rush, then you go to the Tanqua Karoo, we were told.
That's it. Exactly. No distractions. There's no cell phone reception, no electricity in many cases. Often no running water. That's the best place to be, to just connect with yourself a little bit.
Yeah. And how often do you go there in a year?
Not often enough. Not often enough. Maybe twice. Maybe times,
twice
4 times if I'm lucky.
Nice. Okay.
And do you bring whiskey there or not?
Definitely.
No, okay.
Definitely take some whiskey.
He travels in a whiskey barrel to the Tanqua Karoo to make sure that he has enough.
You can never have enough.
I was so happy at the Adopting Bitcoin conference in El Salvador last year. There was an after party. I think it was hosted by Plan B, and I couldn't find any Macallan anywhere at any restaurant, and they had Macallan 12 at the after party. I was like, this party is made for me, man.
Yeah.
So they were taking great care of you there.
Yeah, for sure.
And we really want to talk about also adopting Bitcoin, but then in Cape Town, but of course your work at what you're doing with Moneybadger. But it has to be in the 21 minutes, as you know, Carel, because we have done this before. So if you're ready, we would really love to enter that part.
I'll try to keep the answers as short as possible.
There's no need for that, man.
No, there's no need for that.
There's no need for that.
The 21 minutes is brought to you by BRINGIN, the app to reliably sell and spend Bitcoin from any wallet. Yes, adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. You spoke there of the deep connection between South Africa's history and the fight for freedom. How do you envision Bitcoin becoming not just a tool, but more a cultural movement across the continent?
Look, I think that will take some time. But the differentiating factor that we have here is that what I like to call what we've got something that I like to call good problems to have. So in Africa, in South Africa as well, but in Africa, largely there's probably problems with economic development, currencies facing inflationary pressures, and generally the inability to store wealth. Right. And so if you give people that have this problem some magical tool that makes it possible for them to change their own lives, I believe that is something that's powerful and that can have a ripple effect, and that we'll see ripple out into cultural adoption. So, yeah, I think Bitcoin has that potential.
Yeah, great. And well, I watched your shirts while you were talking, and I was like, well, this is one of the greatest logos from Bitcoin communities is obviously from Bitcoin Ekasi, but it in a way displays all the words you just said in one image, and this is the Bitcoin logo held by the continent of Africa. So I mean it's still one of the greatest logos for the communities that exists now. So that's nice. Hey, you also emphasize that freedom isn't free. What personal sacrifices have you had to make for this mission, and how do you measure success beyond adoption metrics? Because that can be quite a challenge, I can imagine.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about personal sacrifices that much. I expect that I'll probably need to make some significant sacrifices in the future if I continue on this mission, simply because there's growing resistance to what we're doing. And the question is, at what point do you give up? Do you ever give up? And if you don't give up, what are the consequences? But what I can tell you is that I've sacrificed at least 2 years of income, 2 years worth of salary, And that is just simply because I believe that what we're doing have not only merit for ourselves, but for for our country and maybe for the continent. So I believe it's important work, and I'm happy to give up my income for that.
Yeah.
The question on success. How do we measure success? Look, adoption is the number one metric. Number of people adopting Bitcoin as money. And so that's how we track it. Apart from the adoption metrics, is we ask ourselves, can we change people's minds about Bitcoin being money? Because most people, the vast majority of people, see it as a speculative asset, right? Our regulations are written for Bitcoin as an asset. And I think until very recently, most people, if you ask them, can you use Bitcoin as money? Is Bitcoin a currency? They would say no. But I think in the past 2 years, something that we've, to a degree, succeeded in is changing people's minds. And there's now a growing number of voices saying that we can use Bitcoin as money. Look, it's possible. You can walk into a store and pay for your daily bread with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And it's easy, and it's fast, and it's cheap. So it's definitely possible. And that to me is the real measure of success.
I think that part of where you said, well, maybe to the whole continent, I think that's very interesting because, well, you've also said that neighboring countries like Zimbabwe and Mozambique offer some sort of glimpse into what happens when fiat fails. And how are you seeing this economic reality shape adoption patterns across the region at this time?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I don't think, sadly, that Bitcoin's going to have major influence in those regions, even though they could benefit from it. But there's so many other factors that play against them. So, for example, simply things like basic internet access to reliable source of electricity, and then generally just having access to sources of funds. Like to preserve wealth, you first need access to it, right? And so there's going to have to be some very special initiatives that will create, I think, little pockets of adoption initially. From there, it could potentially expand. But I know there's people doing great work in these regions. There's people like Anita Posch that's going out and driving education. And that's really super important, that education component.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
that's for sure. And you operate in a fiat space to provide seamless experiences for merchants. Do you see that interface becoming more dangerous? We spoke to you 2 years ago. Is it becoming more dangerous, regulatory or technically? And what safeguards are you building around that?
Yes, I don't think that you'd have to quantify more dangerous. I suppose what you're talking about is the trade-off between sort of regulation and innovation, right? Or the ability to connect to a permissionless network like Bitcoin. What I think maybe what we used to think is that it will be at this interface that you speak of, interface to fiat, where there will be roadblocks or gates put in place. But in reality, what we've seen is that regulation has been expanding greatly into the Bitcoin and crypto service provider space. So I don't think that interface really even exists anymore. Bitcoin and other crypto service providers are seen as banks. They're treated as banks, they're regulated as banks. So it would be on the service provider level, I think, where we see these walls shoot up.
Yeah. Well, with Moneybadger, you're trying, of course, your utmost to bridge the merchants with the people, and also it helps educating people to start using it, especially for no-coiners. Are there plans with Moneybadger to also expand beyond South Africa at this moment? And what are the most crucial infrastructure or perhaps regulatory prerequisites? Maybe there are a couple of regions that you're already active. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think in terms of expanding the work that we're doing, I think is important and applies anywhere in the world.
Mhm.
And so we definitely have this view that we don't want to be a single jurisdiction company, simply because then it's like being a single planet species. If an asteroid comes and wipes you out, then you're dead. But at the same time, I think beyond regulatory and infrastructure availability, what we're looking for is places with the same kind of good problems that we have here. So we've got things like exchange controls. We've got something that is recently signed into law is an erosion of private property rights. We now have a thing called expropriation without compensation, which means that the state may confiscate any of your property in the as long as it's in the national interest, right? I think we've kind of heard this type of wording before, in the national interest, like we decide what that is. And so these kind of places that really need Bitcoin adoption would be the places that I would like to focus on, but obviously it's dependent on the market.
Yeah. But on what ground can they confiscate your property then, or your possessions?
Like I said, if it's in the national interest, if it's determined that the national interest is that we need to confiscate everybody's Bitcoin so that we can pay out more social grants, then that is not the national interest, right? So there's very little grounds.
So it could be basically anything.
At this point, it was just signed into law. The precedent is yet to be set, but that's what the law says.
That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah, that is.
By the way, that's one of the reasons why we've recently come under attack from the US presidency, and seen things like the revocation of certain types of US aid is due to this sort of erosion of property rights and kind of our shift towards communism.
Yeah, because that looks like communism to me. If you just don't have the guarantee that what you possess will be for yourself at any time. I mean, that's crazy, man. Yes, maybe a bit of a weird switch, but since we last spoke, what changed under the hood at Moneybadger? Because how are people actively processing Lightning payments through your system today, and all that kind of stuff? Did that change something?
So I think for us, one of the big changes is that we rebranded. When we spoke last time, we used to be called Crypto Convert. And the reception was not so great. I think Bitcoiners don't like crypto in the name, but then generally just speaking to anybody, it's quite a cold name. And we came up with something that's a bit warmer and friendlier. So, and we found this amazing name, Moneybadger. So we rebranded to Moneybadger. Our Pick and Pay payments adoption went up quite significantly. I think if I had to guess, we're up about eightfold from when we last spoke.
Wow, that's crazy.
So the numbers have been growing, which is nice. But then as a company, what we've been doing is working on expanding the technology to other environments. So Pick and Pay being physical retail. We've built systems for online retail as well, and for like a soft point of sale or mobile interfaces. So we've been working on the technology. The numbers have been growing.
How many merchants?
Ramon told us that he ordered a pizza online, and he paid using Pick and Pay, using the Moneybadger service. Yeah, using Lightning.
Right.
So this is also something you guys expanded then.
Yeah, that's like a trial for our e-commerce expansion. Our strategy is not necessarily to target individual shops or merchants, but what we have been working on is deeper integrations with existing payment service providers. So that's physical payment service providers, online payment gateways, etc. And I wish I could say that those are live, but they're not yet. So in the next 6 months, maybe if we speak again next time, we should have like tens of thousands of shops, physical, online, that's active, accepting Lightning payments.
Yeah,
That's great.
Yeah, because those integrations, I was thinking about it. Areas, for example, point of sale software, but also maybe business to business invoicing. Is that something you're thinking of?
So a way to differentiate would be to say that you get two types of payment services generally. The one is called the beneficiary service. So that is where you are accepting payment from a number of people. And then the other would be a payer service. That means that you as an individual are making payment to other businesses and entities. So what we've been doing so far is a beneficiary service. We serve the merchant. But what we are looking into branching into now is payer service as well. That would include B2B invoicing, paying your bills, etc.
Yeah.
Hey, and you said that merchants forget Bitcoin unless customers spend it. What are you doing besides speaking to increase circular velocity? Are you experimenting with local loyalty programs or with discounts or education? Are you guys also active on that things?
So what we really try to do is when we go to a merchant is to send them business. We don't just want to onboard them and then there's some Lightning integration that nobody uses. So what we do is we've partnered also with the big wallet providers in South Africa. So that's Luno, Valor, Binance, as well as partnered with some of the Lightning wallet providers. And then what we do is we convince them to send their users or to notify their users when a new merchant is activated. And so we've seen that works quite well. We can see that there's definitely some adoption for a specific merchant when people know that they can spend crypto and Bitcoin at that merchant. And then there's companies like Tether, so USDT. They also want to see increased adoption of their token. And so, for example, at the moment, there's a program where you can get 5% back when you spend Bitcoin at Pick and Pay, but the cashback is in Tether. So we are experimenting with these programs.
That's interesting because then a lot more people can use it and touch your products. Well, several wallets now also support Pick and Pay QR code format, thanks to your open approach, of course. And what are the biggest lessons from building this interoperability layer between legacy QR systems and Lightning? Have you any standards to hope to influence, perhaps?
Yeah, that's quite a large question to unpack. So, I think firstly, to be clear, the biggest lesson for me when we added these integrations to Lightning wallets, to open source Lightning wallets, was that open source is truly powerful. And the network effects of Bitcoin are truly powerful and unstoppable because we didn't come up with a solution. Our solution was we'll publish an API and then wallet developers can implement our API inside of their wallets. And obviously, they said, well, we don't like that. We don't want to add third-party APIs to open source wallets that's used globally. And then one of the Blink wallet developers came up with a different solution who said, well, let's use the Lightning address protocol. There's already sort of a standard that can be used to fetch payment information from a provider. And so they simply said, well, let's use the QR code data, and then the Lightning address points to Moneybadger, and any Lightning wallet that supports Lightning addresses can now scan a Pick and Pay, which is a proprietary QR code. They can scan it without any third-party API calls. They can make a normal Lightning payment. The only requirement is that the wallet needs to detect that it's Pick and Pay. So if it's like a regex.
Okay.
If it detects Pick and Pay, then it just grafts that Lightning address, which is super easy. And to me, that was an eye opener, and really, like, I think the highlight of my past 10 years in Bitcoin was when this other developer came up with a solution that worked with our existing systems. And yeah, that was mind blowing to me. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely
That's just great, right? Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
And you also now work for quite a while together with Pick and Pay to make this all possible. And we learned that one of the, I think you already told us that it was the head of finance of Pick and Pay was also one of the speakers at Adopting Bitcoin Cape Town. Can you maybe elaborate a bit on what that talk was about? And what I'm also curious about is that Pick and Pay now, just use your service to accept Bitcoin, but they directly convert it into the local currency. I was told that's correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So are there? Are there also plans maybe that you know of that they are maybe willing to do more with Bitcoin? Maybe put some stuff on the balance, or what are your thoughts about that that kind of stuff?
I can tell you there are more plans, but I can't speak of any of them.
Okay.
So there are more plans. Let me just say that. On Devin's talk at Adopting Bitcoin, says I think something to keep in mind is that a corporate is quite a large organization, typically, with many people that's working at that organization. And so the question becomes, like, how does that organization make decisions? Like, how does a big corporate like Pick and Pay decide that they will add Bitcoin payments at the till? And what it boils down to is essentially the question of what is that organization's values, right? And so I think that is essentially what Devin spoke to at the conference. Is he spoke to their values being inclusive of their customers, meeting their customers where they're at, giving them more options, more choices. And something that I learned fairly recently, actually, was that one of their, I think, 4 core values is, and literally this is their values, consumer sovereignty, right? Consumer sovereignty. And what better way to demonstrate that they believe in consumer sovereignty than giving the ability for people to, in a self-sovereign way, pay for their basic needs.
Yeah.
That's super important, of course.
Yeah. Great.
Well, I hear the TikTok, so I'm thinking about something more technical. Lightning payments can be challenging with bigger amounts of sats if you want to buy something for a bigger amount. What technical strategies do you think we still need, whether in liquidity management or trampoline routing or other layer 2 improvements to make big payments over Lightning more reliable?
Yeah, so
in your
firstly,
opinion?
we might just, you can just wait.
Yeah.
If you look at the Lightning capacity on a graph, it's always going up in dollar terms, thanks to the price going up. But I think it's important that we, can I still finish the answer?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure.
I think it's important that if you are providing a service like we are doing, that you really take good care of your node in terms of just the strategy. So something that we have done is to engage with the likes of Lightning Labs and Alex from Lightning Labs, and just talk through kind of the what would be an optimal strategy for a node like ours, which is, I think, differentiated from like a routing node or a wallet node, where we optimize for receipts. And I think you can easily make mistakes. It's actually quite a tricky thing. It's easy to make a mistake and connect to the wrong peers. And what they've done is they've created some tools to help to quantify sort of the quality of a peer. And that's helped us quite a lot in terms of reliability and speed. So definitely, I think there's still a lot of work to be done to, create material for node runners to improve their node reliability. But I mean, a node is also something that you can run in your closet. And there you should just be having fun and experimenting. So then you shouldn't take it so seriously. So I think it's literally just a case of there'll be more people participating and the network will mature over time.
Yeah. So we just need to have more time, and then more innovation will come. And in the end, it will help adoption, of course. So thanks again, Carel. We head over to the next part.
世界をつなぐ
Yes, Carel, we still have one question left for you, and you may choose yourself. We pre-recorded a question from Nolene Zumba, she's from Machankura, or Pierre Corbin from Flash. So, I think I already know which you're going to choose, but please tell us.
Yeah, Machankura.
Yes,
all right.
We go for Nolene.
Hello, my name is Nolene from Machankura, and my question is, which innovative or unexpected way have you seen Bitcoin being used in Africa that might make people rethink its purpose?
An innovative way that people have used it in Africa specifically, that people may rethink its purpose. So, at the Adopting Cape Town conference, there was an artist, but they left their painting after the conference, and they simply wrote on the back of the painting, this is they're from one of the townships, one of the township projects in South Africa. They simply wrote, this painting is free, but if you decide to that you want to, pay the artist, this is the Lightning address, right? And I guess this is not really a surprising thing, but for receiving charity, for giving charity, but for receiving charity, there's nothing better than Bitcoin. Like in my talk at the Adopting Bitcoin conference, I put the Bitcoin Ikazi QR code on the slide, and I said, while you're sitting here, you can scan the code and send them charity. That's impossible with any other means of like in the traditional finance system. Like you can't like take your credit card and throw it at the screen, right? So, so I think maybe it's not surprising, but that I think is something that's super powerful, and it's something that I've seen the projects like Ikazi and like this artist and some of the other projects in the townships leverage really well.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. And
Great
that
example.
You can give it yourself. It's just like in Value for Value podcasting 2.0, or just paying directly yourself to the artist of True. That's just amazing.
Exactly.
It for people in the Bitcoin space, it's just it becomes normal, but it isn't. So I can indeed relate to that. Thanks again, Carel.
Yes, thank you.
For everybody else, oh no.
we should ask Carel when people can follow all the things you're doing, Carel, and also the things that Moneybadger is doing. Do you maybe have an X account where people can follow your developments?
Well, yeah, I mean, X is not so great anymore these days. On Nostrdam, we're just Moneybadger.
Okay.
On X, we are Moneybadger Pay. Yeah, it would be great if people can follow us, and please engage with the post. If you don't like what we're doing, let us know. If you do like what we're doing, please let us know. Yeah, Moneybadger Pay on X and Moneybadger on Nostrdam, which we definitely prefer.
Awesome. Yep. Thanks, Carel, and thanks everybody for listening in, and of course, thanks to everyone helping to connect the world with us. And if you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also make a donation, and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. So remember, we need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running, sats flowing, and see you all next week on the same Lightning channel.
Tot ziens.
Bye bye, Carel.
It is.